Thank you very much. My name is Arun Gupta. I work for Amazon, and I'm a principal open source technologist.
Hello, my name is Yishai. I'm an engineering manager in Amazon Web Services.
Excellent. So today we're going to just do a quick recap of what is Amazon Corretto. How many of you saw the keynote yesterday? Oh, pretty much all of you. So these slides would be very redundant in that sense. But I'll quickly zip through them in case anybody missed you or any missed particular parts. So our flow is we're going to talk about Corretto, what Amazon Corretto is. Then we will get into an interactive Q&A between Yishai and me. I'm a Java champion as well, but I'm an Amazonian as well. So I prepared some tough questions for Yishai, and we're going to get into that Q&A part of it. Then we'll show a demo of one of the improvements that we have made in Corretto that we have contributed upstream. Kind of show you how easy to get started, and then we'll open it up to the attendees to ask any set of question and answer for us. Right? So let's get started. Our Twitter handles are here. Feel free to talk to us. We'd love to hear your feedback. Of course, we are looking at feedback at #Corretto. That's how we would love to hear from you. As James mentioned, this is our closest impersonation of James, actually. So Amazon loves Java. We are a big Java shop. We've been running thousands of production services on Java. Java is critical for our internal services and to our customers as well. So one of the reasons we did is we built Amazon Corretto. Amazon Corretto is a no-cost, multi-platform, production-ready distribution from Amazon. It's a downstream distribution of OpenJDK. It's very much alike, very much similar to what OpenJDK is. What we announced yesterday, actually, is a preview. And as part of the preview, that means you can download the Corretto 8 binaries that are corresponding to OpenJDK 8. And we are set the timeline for general availability is going to be in Q1 2019. Okay? So let's get into a little bit more details, essentially, here. As I said, this is a downstream distribution of OpenJDK. So we take OpenJDK. We use OpenJDK very heavily within Amazon as well. We take OpenJDK. We apply our own patches, improvements over there. And then we produce a binary that we run to run our Amazon services. And then we create a distribution out of it, which we make it publicly available. It's a no-cost, long-term support. So we would like you to use this in production. The word preview could be misleading. It says preview, but these are the builds that we have been using to run thousands of production services at Amazon and at really high scale. Also want to emphasize the part that these are at least quarterly releases. The quarterly release cadence is everything goes well, but this is software. So if there are security fixes, patches that are needed, then we may do more frequent than that as well. We would like this to be an exact drop-in replacement for other distributions of OpenJDK. So if you're using other variants or other distributions that are coming out of OpenJDK, you should be able to exactly drop in and get going on that. And in the Q&A part of it, we'll talk about exactly how we did that migration from another distribution of JDK to Corretto, actually. Yesterday, what we announced is it is available for Amazon Linux, Microsoft Windows, and Mac OS builds. So essentially, you can run it not only on Amazon Cloud, but on a different cloud provider, if you're on-prem, on your desktop. I'm a Mac developer. So the ability that I can download Amazon Corretto as a Mac package here on my machine and start using this for all my development is very exciting. And then, of course, as you're building your containerized applications, you need support for a Docker image. So today, what we have available is, you have instructions on how you can create your own Docker image. But our short-term plan is to actually publish a Docker image on Docker Hub as well, so that you can just say, Docker image run or Docker container run, give it an image name. It'll download the image from Docker Hub. It's going to be a verified image. That's the way we plan to work on it. And essentially, fire up your Corretto runtime container. In terms of the timeline, what we announced yesterday, Amazon Linux, Windows, Mac OS, those are the platforms that we're supporting, and there's a Docker image as well. So you can actually go to aws.amazon.corretto, /Corretto, actually, and then download the builds from there and get started with that. In Q1 2019, we expect Corretto 8, which is corresponding to OpenJDK 8, and the general availability for that. The Corretto 8, we expect to have a long-term support for that until 2023. And as part of GA, we will also provide builds for Canonical Ubuntu and Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So essentially, all the major platforms that our customers care for or that would matter to you, they are supported over there. And we're always listening to customers. So if there are more platforms that you would like us to provide support on, do let us know. H1 2019 is a broad window, but what we would like to say is before April 2019, we're giving you ample time to test Corretto 11, which would correspond to OpenJDK 11. We will provide Corretto 11 to you. So you will be able to download Corretto 11 on the exact same set of platforms. And the LTS for Corretto 11 is 2024. OpenJDK is an open source project, so it's fundamentally important. One of the core tenets for us is to maintain that upstream compatibility. So all the patches that we're going to create are going to be contributed upstream, either integrated in the project or attached, bugs open and attached as to the bug itself. So that upstream compatibility is fundamentally important here. So we have been working with Red Hat. We have contributed some patches to the update releases, and we'll continue to work with Red Hat on JDK 8 and other projects. That is very, very critical aspect of this entire process. So essentially, what we would like you to do is go to aws.amazon.com/Corretto. It's our landing page, and you can take a look at all the data over there. There's a frequently asked set of questions that we would like you to take a look at it. You can download the preview builds. All the builds that I talked about are available today. And this is where we are today. Come talk to us at the AWS booth. We are in the expo hall. Yishai and I are going to be there all day today. And we also have Paul Hohenzi, who is a principal engineer in the JDK team at Amazon. All of us are going to be there. This is room 9, 10:40 a.m. We would love to hear from you using #Corretto. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get into a Q&A. So I'm going to actually disconnect this for a second. There is no stream here because this is just a set of Q&A here. All right, so I'm a principal open source technologist, as I said. I'm also a Java champion. The response to Amazon Corretto has been overwhelming. It's really good, actually. Really good to see that support from the community and all of the Java champions and Jug leaders and everybody else. So that's really, really exciting for us. But as a Java champion, as an Amazonian, I want to make sure that we are true to the community. So we have gathered feedback from Twitter and everybody else that we have been talking to, and we have prepared some questions that we think that is in your mind already. So I'm going to ask those questions to Yishai, and then we will open it up. We'll show a demo and open it up for the Q&A for all the attendees. So Yishai, why did your team do Corretto?
So in Amazon, we always start from the customer. And as a team, we treat internal customers and external customers about the same. So a few years ago, Amazon is, as we said, a heavy user of Java, and we realized we cannot rely on binary distributions. We have just thousands of different applications. A quarter release comes in, and almost every single time, something will break down. We want to stay on top of security patches. We want to be able to get as soon as a security patch comes out, we want to get it into production as soon as possible. And what we decided to do is said, well, let's start building Java from source. So we have the ability to go and, something comes in, there's a slight change that broke something, we can go and quickly patch it up. The biggest challenge there was people treated OpenJDK as different. And I really want to, kind of give props to Oracle. When they tell you OpenJDK and Oracle JDK are the same code base, they really mean it. It is the same thing. Our biggest challenge was convincing the rest of the engineering community in Amazon that it is the same thing. This is not here's a completely different implementation of Java that we'll bring it to you. Over time, we did find out that, yes, it's the same. There's slight changes here and there. There's some pieces that are not open source that behave slightly differently, and we had to build in compensating patches. It took us a few months, and then we started getting really good success. We go and apply Corretto to a production system, and it just works. Nothing happens. All we needed to do as engineers to click a button, merge our change, and voila, deploy to production, everything works. Over time, as we gain more confidence, we start doing it automatically. We didn't even ask our engineers do something. We just, there you go. You go to sleep Monday, you wake up Tuesday, and your production system is running on Corretto. We did that for, again, thousands and thousands of services. Everything works as expected, no surprises. And we gain confidence that way. And during the same time, customer says, oh, you build that thing from source, great. We also have a problem here, we also have a problem there. And the cool thing about being in Amazon is we're able to see all these production services. You know, if you're just providing a framework and you don't actually use it, you're kind of blind. You don't see what your customers are actually doing. In our case, we can see profiling data, we can see logs, we can access VMs, we can reproduce anything, you know, that our customer tells us because there's nothing secret. We're same company. And with that, we're able to go in and provide performance patches, small tweaks to configuration, things like that just make things work well. So that's how Corretto started, and that's what we have running in the company today.
So this is for about the internal customers, and that visibility is very important because that's what allows you to do those enhancements. And when you say thousands of production services, as an Amazon customer, customers are used to like those 120 plus services that are there on AWS console, and that is a very microservices-driven architecture. So when you talk about one service, for example, that is builds of thousands of, hundreds of services underneath. So that thousands of microservices is basically what is composing one service that is exposed to the customer.
Correct. So we're talking about AWS services, we're talking about retail services, and we're talking about many of the Amazon subsidiaries that may not have the Amazon name on it, but they're still run under our same engineering system and under our same Java.
So this was very useful for our internal set of customers. Why did we do this release for external customers and created a binary distribution out of it?
Good. So first, Amazon, for quite a long time, has been shipping OpenJDK on Amazon Linux. This is not really a new thing we're doing. But what we did find out when we started talking to customers about long-term support, the first thing we found out that many customers are actually don't really are aware of the difference between different distributions. They just say, oh, we're using Java. Java is the same. It's all the same thing, which is a great thing, right? It just means that it doesn't matter which distribution you use. You're using Java and it behaves the same. So that promise of multi-platform, multi-implementation actually does work in reality. But some customers come to us and say, look, we are running some workloads on AWS, some workloads on-prem, some workloads maybe even on other clouds, some workloads at customer side. We take Box software and install it on third-party customer. And we're worried about, we have to test it now against multiple different binary distributions. And they said, if you provide us with something, can you make that work everywhere? And we look back and we say, actually within Amazon, we already do that. Why not give it to customers? Look at what the customer needs, obsess about it, understand exactly what is it. And it became abundantly clear. There's really no reason to just limit it to just Amazon Linux or just on AWS or put any kind of restrictions on it. This is open source software, GPL v2 with class path exception. We just build it and put it out there.
So the binary distribution makes sense, because customers were really interested in this, and we are a very customer-obsessed company. 90 to 95% of our roadmap is driven by customers. So this kind of leads into very much into that alley, as a matter of fact. So why just not give a binary distribution? Why does it matter to make it as an open source project?
So first, to me, it's pretty obvious. I've been doing open source for forever, and I just don't even perceive it like making a runtime closed source. It just doesn't make any sense to me. All the popular runtimes are open. You can take the code, you can build it. They don't come with any kind of attached requirements. So it was completely obvious to us that that's what we're going to do. Specifically for Java, Java is OpenJDK comes with a GPL v2 class path exception. That is the license. It means you have to open source it. The more kind of a nuanced question was, do we just give you a code drop? You can go to our site or download, Or should we put the code out on GitHub and let everybody kind of see our patches and see the flow? And we're like, this is how you do it, right? This is how you do open source. You put it on GitHub. That's where most people can come and see it. That's where the community can come and look at it and participate and open issues. And there's one place to see everything. So that's how we did that. There's another aspect that's pretty critical. So we talked about Corretto, but a very, very important aspect is in January, we're not going to have an Oracle keep maintaining the OpenJDK project. They made it officially and announced that they want to hand it off to the community. We're thinking that we need to come in and have a skin in the game. If we just let Red Hat do it, I think they're going to do a good job. But this is the first time where we need two different distributions starting LTS at the same time. That the workload is double. We want to take part of that load. So Paul is going to be our first engineer on that project. As soon as Oracle hands it off to Red Hat, we're going to put more engineers on it, onboard them, and be part of providing this upstream distribution for the rest of everybody else that wants to do their own binary distribution. Again, that all happens in open source. That will happen as part of the existing OpenJDK project, not in Corretto. Corretto will just be a downstream from that. So you might ask, why is it important to have Corretto and not just do that? So first, the OpenJDK project is just source, right? It's not a binary. It's not a distribution mechanism. So somebody needs to go and build it. And you can say, you can go depend on somebody else. But at the end of the day, we want to be able to service our customers as quickly as possible. If there is a bug, we want to be able to turn around in a few days, patch it, fix it, release something out there. We had that experience in Amazon, that it takes quarterly releases are just too long. Somebody finds a bug, somebody reports it, it takes 3 months, and then you get a patch, but the new patch has more fixes, it might regress something else, you might end up in this cycle of waiting 3, 6, 9 months for a fix. We want to have the ability to just take that one little thing, patch it, fix it, release it to our customers.
So the open source aspect is very clear that we wanted to make it there as a core tenet of the Corretto project. That's why we release the source code and everything out on the GitHub. But how is it different from OpenJDK in that sense? I've seen, if you look at the list of FAQs, it shows the list of patches that we've applied to OpenJDK. But one of the most common questions that I'm hearing on Twitter is, how is it different from OpenJDK? I'm using OpenJDK. Is it a Dropin compatible, or how does it work?
Great question. So you don't use OpenJDK. OpenJDK is a project, it's source code. You're using some sort of distribution. Somebody has to take it, build it, package it, test it, and release it. Corretto is a downstream distribution of OpenJDK. The patches are not that big. The differences are relatively small. We advertise what they are. Every single one of them, we either already contributed upstream, or we provided a patch that wasn't accepted yet. Our goal is to keep that list to a minimum, to keep, make the changes, try to contribute them upstream. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it takes 3 to 6 months to get a contribution upstream. But at the same time, you have a customer waiting and stuck on something. We want to get that out as soon as possible to you, our customers. And then work it back upstream and get work through all the process and get everybody convinced that how to get it right. And eventually it makes it up into the upstream project.
All right. So now there are a lot of vendors that are already offering OpenJDK distributions. Why should developers trust Amazon as a vendor for OpenJDK?
So let's try to separate that into two aspects. Why should you trust Amazon? We're customer obsessed. We have a good track record of keeping up our promises and taking care of our customers. That's really what it is. If you look at our team, we have 3 pretty strong JVM engineers on the team that worked both on Hotspot and on J9. At the end of the day, engineers are engineers. We're going to make mistakes like everybody else. The advantage here is that we have the ability to observe how our changes impact. We don't release something and run our test suite and call it good. We can actually run it against thousands of different live customers very, very quickly and then be able to course correct. We don't have to wait for a bug report to come in and hopefully the customer is going to give us access to his VM or his logs and we figure it out. We're right there in the same company, in the same engineering system, and we just have more observability than most other vendors. That's really our key advantage.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I would go back to what Amazon's company mission is. We want to be the most customer-obsessed company, most customer-centric company in the world. And that's what allows us to serve our customers in a wide variety of ways. Whether it's going to the Amazon.com retail website, ordering the diaper for your kid, or providing your data infrastructure, or saying, "Hello Alexa, read my news." We want to be the most customer-centric company, so this exactly fits right in there.
So the other part of the question is why not use other distributions? Well, first, if you're using another distribution, there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. Keep using it. It works for you. We're not here to take somebody's, say we're much better than somebody else. But what our customers told us is that, if you look at all these other distributions, they all have some sort of limitation. Either you have to pay for it, or it's limited to certain platforms, or it says, you can use this for development purposes, but not for production purposes. And our customers told us it's kind of hindering their process. Many of them just have these variety of different platforms that they want to run on. And even though it is OpenJDK, it might not be bug-to-bug compatible between these different distributions. And they want to be able to save on development time, save on testing, save on certification around different platforms. So we just said, well, let's take what we have and we will test it on these different platforms, and we will just provide it with no restrictions. Do whatever you want to do with this.
Very cool. So Corretto 8 is corresponding to OpenJDK 8. Corretto 11 is going to be corresponding to OpenJDK 11. Those are the LTS releases. What about JDK 12, 13, 14? Are we going to be providing any corresponding releases to that?
So it's something we're still discussing about if and when we can do that. We want to first focus on 8 LTS and then 11 LTS. We believe that long-term support is a product feature. Security patches are a product feature. They're the most important feature in our mind to our customers, above and beyond everything else. New features are also very important, and progress is very important, but they only come after something you can put in production and trust it to keep running. So we look at 12, 13, 14 immediately after we resolve all the work for 8 and 11. And at this point, we don't plan any LTS support for 12, 13, or 14. Our LTS plan kind of corresponds with the current Oracle plans of 8, 11, and eventually 17.
All right. Now, how does it work as a drop-in replacement? I'm using Oracle JDK, J9, whatever, on any other distribution. First of all, is the goal that it should be a drop-in replacement for any OpenJDK distribution? One. Second is, how does it work?
So first, we want to be drop-in replacement for OpenJDK-based, hotspot-based distributions. J9 is a great JVM. It has different flags, so you can't just drop it in and expect it to have exactly the same behavior. So we don't try to be a drop-in replacement for J9. When you look at Oracle JDK, we will mostly be a drop-in replacement unless you're using commercial features. If you use Java Flight Recorder, Java Flight Recorder is not part of JDK 8. It is part of JDK 11, but in JDK 8, that's not the case yet. So there's a few small caveats.
You mean OpenJDK 8? Because it's part of Oracle JDK 8, but not part of
Correct.
OpenJDK 8.
Correct. There's a few small caveats, but generally the answer is you just install it, and it works. And we wouldn't tell it to you if we haven't tried it. Last year, we took, like I said, thousands of services. We didn't even have the developers on these services involved. We basically run an automation that will go in, swap the implementation they use with Corretto, run all the tests, validate it, run it through the pipelines, get it out to production. We observed what happened. Everything went clean, no surprises. We had one case where somebody was using an internal library directly that was a different implementation than what's in the Oracle JDK, and all they had to do is change a class path, and done. And that's out of many, many thousands of services moved.
All right. Now, how does Amazon contribute to OpenJDK? The list of patches is there, but what's the plan?
So there's two paths. One path is the team today takes every patch we make and takes it up to the OpenJDK project. We both first go to the tip. So today it will be JDK 12, work on that there, and then do backport requests. We also do backports from, if there's a great fix in 9, 10, or 11 that we think is applicable to 8 and we want to use, we'll go and port it backwards. That means that many of our customers are using 8. They're not planning to move to 11 anytime soon. They might be using 8, for all we know, for another 10 years. We think they should still enjoy, all the benefits. If we don't break the spec and everything behaves the same, it just behaves faster, it doesn't hang where it used to hang, it doesn't crash where it used to crash. We want to do these kind of improvements and basically keep existing systems just behaving better consistently. So that's one path. We did a few 2 years ago, a few this year, and every year we kind of ratchet up the requirement from the team, and the team needs to do a lot more next year. Check us out. You can look at our contributions in the OpenJDK project, hold us accountable. The other path, which I think is critical, is the work we're planning to do on the update projects. This will be kind of critical for everybody using OpenJDK. Somebody needs to do that work, take the security patches that are going to come out on JDK 11, JDK 8, and the tip every quarter. Take them, understand them, work together with Oracle, work together with Red Hat, work together with other partners that are involved in security patches, and backport them into the update project, try to co-release them with Oracle so there's no gaps in security posture of all OpenJDK distributions. And similar to what I said, performance patches, bug fixes, other improvements we think we can put in these update projects to make it better. There's a lot of learning from running a lot of, so many services, trying to run them at scale, try to push them really hard. We want everybody to enjoy the same thing. There's two reasons for that. The first reason is, we care about our customers. But there's another reason that's kind of interesting. What we learned from other companies are doing, we're not the only company doing this kind of thing, running our own internal Java distribution. But what we learned from other companies in our past experiences, if you start carrying your own patches, even if you keep them closed, behind closed doors, you start accumulating technical debt. It means every new release, you have to figure out if the patch still applies, you might have to modify it, you have to make additional engineering cost. And instead of your engineers spending time on new features and solving new problems, they just spend time on maintenance. It puts a drain on the team, and it puts a drain on the velocity of the project. It makes much more sense to take everything and just contribute it upstream. It makes everybody's life better.
Yeah, I think that hopefully you've heard the message very clearly that maintaining that upstream compatibility is a core tenet here in Corretto. Now, anytime I want to make a change, should I be I want to make a change now. I want to contribute to Corretto. Should I contribute to Corretto or OpenJDK? What's sort of the contribution model that I should think of?
Great. So Corretto is composed of two components. One of them is the OpenJDK thing you can see at the OpenJDK site. On top of that, there's our patches. And on top of that, there's the build instruction, the build systems, tests, documentation, any of that stuff. So for the build system documentation, how we do our Docker containers, how we test, how we build, go ahead and submit issues, pull requests to github.com/Corretto. If it's changes to Java itself or to the OpenJDK itself, we actually want that every single contribution will make it up into the upstream project. So we have signed the contribution agreement for OpenJDK. and our engineers are part of that plan, which means we can go put patches in Corretto and then upstream them. If you're an OCA signatory, please contribute to OpenJDK first. Once you contributed it, even if it wasn't accepted, we can take it in. But the concern is if you go straight to Corretto, it might not be upstreamable to the OpenJDK project. Due to we don't know who you are, we don't know if Amazon cannot control for Oracle and for the OpenJDK project the contribution. So what we ask you to do is you can file an issue, you can tell us what's wrong, and we can try to fix it. But if you want to do a patch, apply to OpenJDK, and we will downstream from there.
So essentially, developers can apply a patch over there, file an issue, create a link in Corretto if they want to, link it to that issue so that we can track it and help them getting it approved over there.
Correct. And please also file an OpenJDK bug, of course.
Right, correct. Now, one of the sentiments that I'm hearing on Twitter is, is Corretto causing the fragmentation of the OpenJDK ecosystem by providing yet another binary distribution?
So, if you look today, look 2 days ago. 2 days ago, there's many different OpenJDK distributions. You start with the Oracle JDK. It is an OpenJDK distribution from Oracle. You move on to Red Hat and many, many others. What we have learned from our customers is that although there's many of them, you cannot use all of them without any restriction everywhere. Every one of them comes with some sort of a limitation. Either it costs something, or it will run on this OS, or you can use it on that OS, but only for development purposes. And Corretto is actually, in our mind, reduces the fragmentation because here's a distribution you can use anywhere and everywhere, and there's no string attached to it.
All right, very cool. Then let's get to the demo part of it and show one of the improvements that we have made. Minor improvement, but an improvement nevertheless.
So I want to just add to that. We're not trying to claim here that Corretto has some magic performance things that you will never be able to see somewhere else. What we want to show is when we measure things, when we look at what actually impacts customers, we find that very, very small minor changes can have a pretty significant impact on running applications. So in this first example, one of our customers is somebody running a profiler across all of Amazon services. Says, "Hey, look, I see a hotspot here. Many different code paths are calling get simple name, and it takes a significant chunk of processing power." And you can go ahead and run it.
So this is running Oracle JDK.
Yeah. So when we looked at and at the time, many of our customers run on already running on Corretto. Some customers still running on Oracle JDK. And then when you run that, you can see that get simple name and get canonical name spend about 1 microsecond, or roughly 894 and 852 microseconds. And that doesn't seem a whole lot, except you find out that this is using logging libraries. And when you log often in production on every call, and you want to log what method you're in, this method is called very extensively. And you can run the next one. And my knee-jerk reaction when this came in, I said, yeah, reflection is expensive. You should just cache it and everything will be fine. And what this engineer explained to me was very humbling. He said, look, I cannot control what every developer writes. Right? Yes, there's some frameworks that do it incorrectly, and we can go and patch them and fix them. But developers write code every day, and basically we're going to play whack-a-mole. We're just going to come chasing these people, and we're going to put tools in the IDE to find it, and we can find bugs, all kinds of things to catch it. But you guys actually have the power to fix it. Why don't you go fix it? So it's really simple. It's a simple memoization improvement, but now this thing takes 2 nanoseconds. Instead of almost a second. And what we actually see in production is about in production on Linux, about 1,000 improvement in performance, which leads to very significant savings. If you run large fleets of machines that are CPU bound, you can reduce your fleets. If for us it means power saving, there's significant saving coming out of that. You just improve the headroom.
So this right here on my development machine, I'm seeing 400x improvement.
Yep.
But when you're running it in production, you're seeing 1000x improvement in Amazon Linux.
Yep.
Simple function, but these simple things add up in terms of how efficient your application can be.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at the other example then.
And it's pretty impressive, after 20 years that you can still get, these can translate to 10, 20, 30% performance improvements for certain applications. So this is another one. It's not as impressive in terms of percentage. So this is get thread info. This is used for profiling. Again, you want to try to profile in production and get data. Get thread info is called very often. Again, causing significant CPU load. This one we improved by...
so that was Oracle JDK, so about 4,440.
So you got about to 1,400, so about a factor of 3 to 4 improvement. Again, not as impressive as before, but still this method is called a whole lot. It's a significant chunk of the application CPU time. In Amazon, we put operations, almost at the top, right behind security, on top of our things to do. So profiling and logging is a huge part of what we do every day, way before we go and develop the next new feature. When these things start impacting the performance and we have to spend, more hosts and more time and more power, we want to go in and take that out of the equation.
Right. I mean, at Amazon, security is, of course, the top concern for our customers. And operational excellence comes second. If anything is impacting those, we drop everything and we focus on that. So this kind of fits right very much in there.
Okay.
So I think that's sort of the questions that I've seen, at least so far.
Yeah. Did you have another one?
Oh, I have another one,
Yeah.
actually.
So the last one is a little more fundamental. We have a lot of applications that run for a very long time. And because of this large variety of applications, we kind of tend to tickle the garbage collector in various different ways that might not have been caught before. What we've seen here is with G1 is the scenario goes like this. The user calls string.intern. And you'd be like, why would a user do that? And you find that very popular libraries do it quite a lot. The data is saved off the heap. And typically, again, you get to a mixed collection. And at mixed collection, everything will be cleaned up and everything is nice and done. But if your application is actually well-tuned, like we tell people to do, right? Don't allocate humongous objects and, think about your allocations. You just run young-gen collections all the time. And these off-heap data structures just keep growing, growing, and growing, and growing. And over time, we fail over. And you have to restart your application and take care of it. So we made 2 patches to G1. One of them was just reported upstream, and Oracle took it and fixed it. This is the second one, where what you can see here is this is running on OpenJDK, Oracle JDK. So you can see that there's only young collections happening, which just means the memory will keep growing slowly. There's a slow memory leak. Most applications won't see it. But again, we have a big variety, and these things crop up. And if you're on OpenJDK, all that we did is we detect that situation. We detect that there's growth on the string table, and we basically force the mixed collection to happen earlier.
So it's still running on this. You want to break it now?
Yeah.
And let's do this on Corretto. So what are the developers looking for in this? What numbers are they looking for? How are they seeing the contrast?
So basically, this comes from a team that just runs a service that will run for a few days or a few weeks, and then somewhere in day 2, things start falling over. The memory keeps growing, the garbage collector starts thrashing, they have to kill the application, restart the application, and this resolved that problem. This enabled that team. They used CMS. They were not happy with CMS. They really wanted to use G1. G1 worked great for them up to a point. And this enabled them to move to G1 and then improve their overall application performance.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's our scripted part of the talk now.